Hi, I'm going to show you how to paint a watercolour robin and make him Christmassy, make a Christmas card. So I've chosen this picture from Pixabay, and what you can do is, if you're not very good at sketching, you can print it out the size you want it, cut round him, draw around him, and then at least you've got your outline shape. Now I've added a little Christmas hat onto this robin just to make him look a bit more Christmassy. I'm going to use a range of colours, but I'm not 100% sure which colours I'm going to use yet, so I'll talk you through that as I go and put a list up on the video. And we're going to use some salt as well to make it look snowy. So I'm going to start, I think, with his beak and then the orangey reddy bit. This particular robin looks a bit more orange than red. Reds can be quite difficult colours to get right, so I'm going to mix two different oranges together, a reddy orange and a very orangey orange, to get the right colour for him. So I'm going to start just with his beak, and I think I'm going to do his beak in a kind of browny grey colour. So, and his beak, because you're looking straight on, is a bit of a almost a diamond shape, and then you've got some shading underneath, which we'll leave for now. Now I'm leaving a little bit of white on the top there, just to show a bit of shadow, reflection. Right, I'm also using kitchen roll. I always use a bit of kitchen roll. These cards, these are ready-made watercolour cards that you can get from Amazon or other places, I'm sure, but I got some from Amazon. So what I'm doing for the orange bit, or red I should say, is I'm just putting some water down first where I want it to go. I'm going to be careful not to touch onto where I've just done the beak. When you're doing your sketch, be careful that your pencil marks aren't too dark, because it will show through watercolour. So I put enough watercolour on, water on there to give it a kind of sheen. And I'm just putting a bit of colour in. Probably have put a little bit more water on. It's not very. Just going to loosen that up a little bit. That's a bit better. So as I say, I'm mixing this colour out of a Mayan orange, which is a Daniel Smith colour, and a Winsor & Newton colour. Just going to put the first layer down. Just going to soften around that edge a little bit. And then over here we've got a bit of brown, so I'm going to use some burnt umber for this wing here. And then you've got a grey in between. So I've got another Daniel Smith, it's a primer tech colour. Which is very granular. It's quite good for a grey bit. Because it splits off. And that bit of grey kind of comes all the way down there. And then you've got some more over here. So let's try and blend it in. I'm just going to put some water on there. My pencil marks are probably a bit too dark, but I wanted you to be able to see my sketch. And then this bit here, you've got a little bit of brown. So let's get that nice and wet. And then it's that kind of grey colour. So I'm just getting some more of this. It kind of goes down to about there. Maybe a bit more grey here. It's got kind of a grey cap on his head, so just put that grey bit there. You can just start building up. So I think his tops of his legs are kind of brown, eh? And then they're a bit pinky, so I'll probably go in with a bit of the redder one. I haven't drawn all his feet out because I'm going to do it as if he's standing in some snow. I'm also not very good at the feet, so if you can hide bits you're not great at, go ahead. Don't ever worry about doing things like that. So I think I'm going to do his eyes now, and then we'll come back to be putting some shadow and stuff like that in. Now we could mix a black to do his eyes, and you could do that with some blue and some brown. So I'm going to take a bit of indigo, I think, and mix it with burnt sienna. See what happens. Test it out a little bit. That's looking good. But you can just use a black. So again, with his eyes, he's got those little white bits of reflection, which we're going to try and keep. If you go over them, it doesn't matter. You could use a gel pen or something like that, or a bit of acrylic, white acrylic or something like that. So I'll leave that just like that for a second. I don't want it to get too close to. Just going in with a dry brush now. Right, time to do the hat. So obviously you've got white pom-pom and white around the head, and this bit's all going to be red. So I'm just going to test out a red and see whether I think it's red enough. It's actually called Mayan Orange, but it looks fairly red to me, so we'll try it. So just paint the hat in first, and then we'll put in some creases and some shading, make it look a bit more realistic. Just put in some different shades in there. So one of my other favourite colours is Moon Glow. And Moon Glow is great for adding shading, especially in animals. So I'm going to put just a little bit Moon Glow on that leg and on this leg. Put it on and then just kind of blend it in. And then he could probably do with a little bit under his belly there. Make it look like there's some feathers coming out. So just put it in and then lift it off again. And then he's, excuse me, God dear. Sorry about that. You can tell I'm not a professional. Put it on silent now. So, using the Moon Glow, I'm just going to go in and put some shadow in. Just trying to make this look like it's a fluffy white ball. Don't know if that's going to work, but it doesn't need to be too realistic, does it? A little bit of shadow under there, and I think some under this bit. So and then maybe a little bit so just a tiny bit there, a little bit more coming out there. He does have some kind of here as well. Makes him look a bit grumpy. Take some of that out. So there's our little robin, and now we're going to do the background. So I'm going to use a larger brush for this. If I can find a larger brush. So for the snow on the floor, just going to put some water down, and I'm just going to use some Moon Glow. And a little bit of salt. You'll see why when you have a go at this. Okay, and then you could just get a little bit of kind of greeny, and there's a few sort of shoots of green coming here and there from the grass. And then around him, let's just try not to touch him, but just put some little bit of water here and there, and then I'm going to go for Prussian blue. Like this. And then again, some salt. You could use indigo if you want more of a nighttime scene. And just put a bit of colour. And then you're just going to have to leave that to dry for a bit. Okay, so we're ready to put the finishing touches to him. He's dried, and I don't know if you can see that, if it's focusing well enough, where the salt has made it look a bit snowy. So it gives that nice effect here. I've gone in and I've put done, while it was drying, just a few little, a little bit more moon glow around his beak, tiny bit more on his legs. So the finishing touches, you could just get some, I've got some little green and it just look like smooth over that. And then if you've got quite a stiff brush, you can either use acrylics or ink, and you can put some snowdrops, not drops of snow on top of him. So you just get some white, quite wet, on the back, on your brush, and then tap the back of the brush. Now I wouldn't want too much on him, so I might go and take some of that off. Just some of the bigger sponges, get them off and keep the rest on. And that's snowing. And then the other thing you can do is, excuse me, I didn't get this ready. Bear with me just a second. To make it really Christmassy, you can either use glitter, or I've got some Brusho sprinkle it stuff, and the way I use the Brusho is just pop a little bit of water on, and then with a dry brush pop your sparkly one on. I could pop just a little bit on the top of his hat as well, I think. Make him look really Christmassy. Might look like a snow's on the top of his hat. There we go, that's your Christmas robin.